I don't think I do it.
But Arsenal started like a house on fire. Signing number 2 for this new era. It's Judgment Day, people. Yeah! What did your boy tell you? It was never in doubt. Never in doubt. Don't believe in any luck, I believe I'm self-made, yeah. And then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Good evening. It is very, very late at this ungodly hour. My apologies, but I didn't finish work till late. I then went for a pizza because I was starving. Sorted the dogs out, and now we're back live. And I'm here tonight with everyone's favourite Italian. It is, of course, Andrea Russo. Andrea, how are you, bro? Okay?
Great, mate. Thanks for the invitation. Always a pleasure to speak with you, talk about Leeds.
Yeah.
Despite still fuming for how the Italy-France 121 went, but yeah.
Yeah, I seen the goal, right? It was over the line, wasn't it?
Oh, over the line, and he didn't give us a crystal clear penalty in the first half. Then didn't award us a foul, and they scored because there's no VAR in the under 21. So yeah, there'll
really?
probably be a lot of
that's the thing, innit? Now,
like on the press.
So for us, for example, next year there's no VAR, right?
Yeah.
And there'll be times where okay, we'll enjoy it, but then at the other time we'll be like, well, if VAR were there, that goal would have stood. You know what I mean? So once you've had it, it's difficult, isn't it? Right. Listen, folks, we're going to be talking quite heavily on Patrick Vieira tonight. I was led to believe during the day. Again, there's a lot of conflicting reports, but I was told from a few credible people, or I mean, it might be secondhand information and that, but I was told by a few credible people earlier on that the 49ers had got their man, and Patrick Vieira was due to be announced tomorrow. Since then, obviously, there's been some conflicting reports. I watched Connor's video. He'd heard some bits on Daniel Farke. So then I started to think, oh, okay, maybe it's not done. And then I got another message that apparently the Vieira acquisition might have hit a few snags, a few stumbling blocks. But I was led to believe, as I say, earlier on, that Patrick Vieira, and if I'm a betting man, like my money's going on him now, I would prefer Daniel Farke, but I believe if we do get an announcement tomorrow, it's probably going to be Patrick Vieira. The Yorkshireman says Graham Smith saying another interview tomorrow. That was yesterday, though, right? That was yesterday that he said that information about today. I know he said, I listened to the Inside Ellen Road podcast. I think it's a great podcast, great listen. And, Graham was much of the thinking, like a lot of us, I think, more siding with the fact that you need someone who's tried and tested in that league. And that's why he thinks the 49ers might go a different route. As I was listening to this, I was already under the impression that Patrick Vieira was going to be announced tomorrow, but we'll have to wait and see. No one really knows. Of course, we hear a few bits, and Patrick Vieira's, pretty odds on. But I think tomorrow we'll get an announcement, and it'll be Patrick Vieira. I think for me, I think it's a bit of a meh appointment. Like I don't know if you get that nuance, Andrea, when I say meh. But, yeah. I feel it's a little bit underwhelming. I genuinely think that Daniel Farke is a better option for us than Patrick Vieira. But what are your thoughts, man? Listen, I'll back the guy. Sure. Yeah, of course, as soon as he's in. But if I'm honest, if it is announced tomorrow, I will be a little bit like, I think there was other options out there. What's your initial thoughts?
Well, yeah, like we said the other day, I think Farke was the most suited guy, for the job because tactical-wise, experience CV. But like you said, the championship is a whole different playing pitch, a whole different level from the Premier League. Mm-hmm. There's more intensity, more rhythm, sometimes more physicality even, because I think that I have the sense that the Premier League is more tactical, but the Championship is more like physical. There's will be everybody's cup final next season, so you have to really know the league, and Farke knew the league pretty well, having won it twice in the past. But yeah, I give Vieira a chance if that materializes tomorrow. Yeah. like all will do probably, because when a new manager comes in, you have to judge him after you have seen how he plays, what style of play he implements, and after that we can have our own opinion. So I have my preference, and my preference is Daniel Farke. But if there's some Vieira, of course my doubts are just tactical, and related to the adaptation that he will have to do with the league, because he's never managed it, and it's a real different level. The other candidates all had managed in the championship. It's different for a player sometimes to drop from the Premier League to the championship. So imagine how different could be the adaptation for a manager too, in terms of expectation too, because he was really talked a lot about last season, and last season I mean, of course, 2021, 2022, when the full season at the other Selhurst Park. It was really talked a lot because Palace were flying for a good part of the season. Then
they got to the final, didn't they, of the FA Cup? So
semi-finals. Semi-final when they lost versus Chelsea.
Yeah.
So I think he in his mindset too. He was linked with some jobs when he was at Palace. He was doing well, and a year later he found himself, having to think about dropping in the championship. I think he will have to embody too and embrace the Leeds United mindset. I fear, we don't get too overwhelmed by this aura, because he's the manager of Leeds United. It's not Patrick Vieira, and a lot of people are talking about this past as a footballer, like his aura. Of course he has an aura. Roy Keane has an aura too. He's his great rival. But yeah, if he is appointed, I just hope he embraces the philosophy of Leeds United and identity of Leeds United, and just not try to implement a aura first mentality, is proper mentality on the players and the group of players.
It is going to be intriguing to see if indeed he does get this job. Listen, I was ready to come on this video and be like, listen, it is a done deal. I genuinely believed it was, but a little bit of information I received towards the back end in the evening flipped it around a little bit. But listen, those that are in the chat saying, "Oh, you like all of it's second-hand information unless you're there in the negotiations." Do you know what I mean? Like it's all second-hand. I respect and understand that people are much more in the know than some guy on YouTube and those that do reporting, etc. But a lot of it comes from the club, and it's the club's point of view that gets put out. You know what I mean? So. You have to make up your own mind, don't you? But I think, my thing is with Vieira, I don't like everyone's looking at this first season at Crystal Palace, but outside of that, he's not really had a major success, right? Like I don't think anyway. And yeah, I'm a little bit dubious over whether I think the one positive I will say, Andrea, is he has pulling power. Like this is Patrick Vieira, and everyone knows about Patrick Vieira. So if there's an option for him to take a player on loan, or if we're in competition with another championship club for one certain midfielder or an attacker or whatever, and Patrick Vieira's on the phone, then you'd imagine you're going to sign for Patrick Vieira. We've seen it ourselves with Conor Gallagher, right? We were in competition for Conor Gallagher. He ended up choosing Crystal Palace, and probably a lot of that was to do with Patrick Vieira, right? Yeah,
right. Well, actually, last night, a few nights ago, we had Locke, on the pod where we were talking, and he likes a lot doing tactical analysis. On my side, I like also about the scouting players, And Gallagher was always one of my favorites back then. He would have been perfect for the Bielsa side.
Yeah.
So every year I tended to do a list, of the players to watch in the Premier League, because he had done well at West Brom. So I put Gallagher before the season in that list on Twitter, of course, and said that he would have been perfect with Leeds. I'm not sure. Of course, he will be his preferred choice going to Crystal Palace, the perfect solution, because I really didn't rate Vieira back then. after what he did with Nice and what he did in the US. I don't like his tactics, honestly. I think they must shoot it for continental Europe, for Ligue 1, for even La Liga, you know, these two leagues, you know, or maybe even Serie A, more than La Liga, Serie A and Ligue 1. I think the build-up is a little bit slower. I think he uses the flanks, the wings too much. Sometimes there's no verticality. You know, when he lost Gallagher, he lost a lot of verticality this season.
Yeah.
So it's just tactical wise. But what you're saying, you know, it's right. Sometimes when you have some types of manager that have a big name in the game, of course, in the negotiations zone, let's call it like that, you have some powers, of course, because there's players that have said, also for this Roma this season, you know, a lot of players signed for Roma. Roma didn't have, of course, apart from last season when they won the Conference League, they weren't coming out of an established project. They were changing a lot of the squad in year in out, you know. And a lot of players have signed for Roma because of Mourinho.
Yeah.
Because of the aura around Mourinho. So, of course, we've seen it with other managers, you know, even at Burnley with Company. There's a City connection too there, some in there, you know. And some players signed for Burnley because they like to play under Vincent Kompany this season. Even the signings that they made in January when they brought Tino Bafemi, for example. So you're right. I agree. He can certainly be a pro. You know, that thing, having him as a manager for his connections in football and the fact that he's respected in various continents at this stage. He can bring some negotiation power in terms of bringing some certain players to West Yorkshire, surely.
Yeah, you would imagine so. And I think it is worth, you know, considering a few people are saying in the chat, you know, about let's not write off a left field appointment. And we have to still consider that there may be a surprise appointment, because like people have rightly said in the chat about Hammond, absolutely no one, not even the top Leeds United journalists knew about Hammond before it happened. There was nothing, and then all of a sudden he's in the door. It's clear that the 49ers do like to move in silence, so maybe it won't be Patrick, but just at the minute it looks to me like everything's pointing towards that. This is another thing I wanted to discuss. I'm trying to find the actual piece, but they said that a lot of data and what was the other word? Was it AI? AI has been used in the recruitment process. What does that even mean? What's AI in football? Do you know? I don't know.
Well, it's about the data. Of course, it's an approach that American ownerships usually implement. You know, there's even in Italy right now, of course, Maldini has left his position as director of football, has been sacked actually by AC Milan, and the ownership, American ownership, Red Bird, are implementing this system, data and AI. So they're picking players based on the method of, I don't know if you have watched it, but probably you have, because you're very keen into sports, Joe. Moneyball, the movie about baseball with Brad Pitt. Have you watched it?
Yes.
It's
Great
the same
movie.
approach. And in fact, Billy Bean, the protagonist that Brad Pitt depicted, is involved with AC Milan with an advisor role too. So the Americans have this different approach. They don't usually trust immediately a director of football that which suggests it's a manager, and they speak directly to the manager. There's a lot of process, you know. There's they operate like a franchise, actually, like in the NBA and the NFL, when there's the general manager consulting the owners, consulting the data analysts. There's loads of roles, trust me, loads of specific roles, you know, data analyst, video analyst. And there's a lot of data in that, and the AI too. So, meaning about the AI, you know, there's a lot of surge in that right now. Not just ChatGPT for other uses, but in the area of scouting too. You know, ChatGPT signing our statement weeks ago. You know. So, but yeah, about the left field appointment, you know, the surprise appointment, like we were talking.
I would prefer that, bro. I want us tomorrow, when this announcement comes at, say, midday, 2:00, wherever, to it be someone none of us knew, and to us all be like, Wow. Like for me, that would be Raul, right? But like,
you really like Raul now after last night.
after the Fred and stuff, I do.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, before we continue, I just want to bring up, this was what was said in the YEP
Yep.
earlier on, because I know a few people have said there's interviews still going on today. That was yesterday that was said. But look, Leeds United have hoped to have officially appointed the head coach by the end of this weekend. The final phase of interviews have concluded today in London. So they finished today. I think they had one more to interview today, and that's been done. With Angus Kinnear and Parag Marath impressed with the pitch presenters. Despite reports that Patrick Vieira is the favourite, noises from inside Ellen Road suggest otherwise, showing that the decision is very much open. That was today at 5:38. Look, I was told that as I say, Vieira was going to be that man, but like I said, I listened to Connor's video, and I also had some information off someone as well, because this person who sent me this information was saying the same things that Connor was, because I actually said to this person, "Oh, have you spoke to Connor about this?" And he was like, "Oh no, we don't speak. I just watch his videos." But it was very much that apparently the issue with Farke is he was unsure about the hierarchy structure and how the director of football, etc., will work. I don't know. So it is all up in the air, but yeah, I don't know. Who would you be? I guess you would prefer Farke, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But about what you said, I just hope they don't use the same approach. Actually, I said that they use a lot of data, of course, because it's very common about American ownerships taking an interest in acquiring football clubs in Europe. But I just hope they don't use the same approach as they do, like in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers or like the American franchises. Because of course, it's in the name, franchises versus clubs. It's a whole different game, and it works a lot, of course, in the US. If you look at the NFL, NBA, and MLB, and NHL too. But football clubs, football is a different game. Yes, has a different structure, and you have to define the roles specifically. So I think that the case is there's a lot of people having a say in this. Of course, the owner, the CEO, the football advisor Nick Hammond, and they'll have the data guys too, of course, because it's how American ownerships operate usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I rather prefer a structure where the director of football has more power and reports directly to the owner and the manager. The director of football is usually the link up between the owner and the manager. So when you have a lot of people having a say, you can make the wrong appointment in that because there's different views. It's like a board is having having to make a decision on that right now. It feels like that. And, there's people saying that Vieira, of course, is now the front runner, like we said. But there's also other people saying that Farke has still a chance, maybe. So my point of view, if we look at that and we reflect on that, is that you have the image of certain people having a say in this, being pro Vieira, and certain people having a pro Farke view. So it's already a different approach because there's too many people involved.
Yeah, no, you're bang on the money. It's like, it's clear that from what we're hearing, it doesn't sound like they're 100% sold on it as a collective, right?
Exactly.
And I'd imagine maybe with Farke, yes, he can get us up, but then they worry about long-term vision in the Premier League because he has bombed. You have to say that, but I do think there's caveats to that because it's Norwich City. And then of course Patrick Vieira did have some good times. I think what potentially might have swung it for Vieira. Obviously, he's keen on the job. It's clear because there was noises that he wanted it even when he was at Palace. He considered applying for it. We know as well. You mentioned it the other night, Andrea, about his links to America and him being over there, and
with Gabe.
Yeah, exactly. But I think you were bang on the money in the it's clear they think well of him over there in MLS, because I think he took New York City from like 17th up to like 4th, right, over a period of seasons. So
yeah, it was a different MLS too at the time.
Yeah.
Now it's growing stronger, and back at the time, it was weaker. in terms of football. Now the level is rising up. So
yeah,
can we say that he proved himself back there? I don't know, because when he moved to Nice, I think the squad that he had was stronger than they finished. When they finished seventh.
And I guess at New York as well, he had Jack Harrison, he had Frank Lampard, he had Andre Pirlo, I believe, wouldn't he, at New York City at that time?
Yeah, it was, I think, 2014. Let me check so we don't say it wrong.
I think no, because I'm assuming anyway. The reason I assume is because Pirlo and Lampard are on record as praising
the season after that. Yeah. He came after the season after that, because Pirlo was there in 2015, 2016, I remember.
Okay.
So then after the season after that, moved from the City youth teams to, there's the City group, of course, the leagues of the various clubs that that are under their umbrella now.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be interesting, isn't it, to see who gets the job. I personally I'd prefer Farke. I'd even prefer an unknown quantity over Patrick Vieira, but Raul, yeah. Why not? But one thing's for sure, if he does come in, he's gonna get my back in, because it is Patrick Vieira, and he is gonna bring a lot of gravitas. And to be fair, from what I'm hearing, I don't think the club are overly worried that we're going to get a lot of exits. I think a lot of us as fans are expecting maybe double digits in terms of first teamers. But from what you see, I mean, there's big noises about Rocker. Obviously, we all expect Rocker to go. We all expect Melier to go. Robin Koch's clearly going to go. He's been linked to Man United again today. I mean, that's just madness. But maybe Nonto, maybe Adams, they might just stay yet, What do you think?
Well,
do you think someone like Vieira, would you say Patrick Vieira has a better opportunity at keeping players like that as opposed to Daniel Farke?
Well, honestly, I don't think of course, Vieira probably can have a better positioning, in this debate. But I think ultimately it's the cap strategy, because you've seen what is coming out of Leicester, that they're planning to hold their line for Maddison, stick by their asking price, and maybe even considering keeping Maddison for the start of the championship, and keep him, of course, if a suitable offer doesn't arrive. For me, that is a good approach, because do we need to sell right now? Do we need to sell? How many players do we need to sell? Of course, we lose some of them because they have release clause. I've read what Rodrigo's father said today, and for me, it sounds like they're going to Sevilla with that lower release clause too. If not Sevilla, to another La Liga club. But I think they're going to Sevilla, 99% in my point of view. About Gnonto and Adams, I think the only way we can keep them is stick by our asking price, of course, because even Adams has been linked with the various Premier League outlets, maybe Premier League clubs like Forest, recently Aston Villa. Right now, I've read that in the US they're linking right now to Arsenal. I don't know, honestly, if it will be a suitable solution if they don't get Rice, because Rice is not right now heading towards Man City.
That, Arsenal. For letting that slip through their fingers, they're crazy, aren't they? They should have just paid the money and got it done, man. Because if Rice goes to City as well, they'll probably win the Champions League next season. Yeah, as well.
Absolutely, and we have to see what Calvin's does too, because he gets stuck the bait. I think
he gets sold. I think he possibly could be involved in the deal to West Ham potentially.
Yeah, I thought the same. Yeah, so the same would be a good solution for him actually, because he replaced Rice. Of course, he's a different player. Yeah, because Rice is more box to box, and Calvin has more vision, more kind of all the midfielder. But it could be a good solution of playing the
He's a great ball carrier, isn't he? Declan Rice as well.
Yeah, box to box, physical, pace. Yeah, it's a very good player, of course. Very good player.
Yeah,
and
I don't like seeing Calvin sort of stagnating at City though. I want him to get minutes, and at least if he did go to West Ham, he would play week in, week out. He would play week in, week out. They're in Europe. I think it'd be a good move for him if indeed he does choose to move that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because mid-season, he was criticized by Pep Guardiola after he returned from the World Cup. Guardiola doesn't criticize after his players. And did he give him a chance? Actually, when he gets some players, resting. No, always Rodri, even play Rico Lewis in midfield. I think he needs to have a long move, or probably I say because of the amount of money that City spent, and that they will look to get some of them back. But it's not doing in good staying at City. In my point of view, needs to go, and West Ham could be a good solution. I've even read people, dreaming about him returning to Leeds, but that's not going to happen. From the treble back to the Championship, it's like fantasy football. Absolutely.
I know. I've seen some mad takes. Yeah, someone said like, could we get Calvin on loan?
Yeah, I get the love. I get the love. Of course, there's some people that don't like him after he moved, but there were talks about the contract renewal. If you remember, Joe, mid-season. Before Bielsa was sacked, then we didn't hear another thing, and he decided to move because I think a lot of the uncertainty that we experienced in the recent weeks was already there when Rafinha and Calvin decided to move to, and didn't help, in keeping them.
I know. I think one thing's for sure now, mate. Like, no matter who gets this job, and I'm hoping, that it's tomorrow. I want it to be tomorrow, because if not, I think we're going to have to wait till Monday. I don't see them announcing it on a Saturday or Sunday. So I think if it's not tomorrow, it's probably going to be Monday. I want it to be tomorrow, because then, we're only a week away from the 1st of July. The 1st of July is when the rest of the transfer window opens across Europe. And that's when we're going to really need to start moving players on and bringing players in. I assumed they're doing stuff behind the scenes, but we need to get a move on, don't we, mate? Because it's not that far.
Absolutely.
Obviously, fixtures were released today, 6th of August, Cardiff, 2:30. Yeah, and like Carl says here, big up Carl, one of the fellow Walkers, says players report back on the 3rd. So, yeah, we need, if Vieira is the man, then bring him in, let him. I guess my thing is as well, in this recruitment process, it's clear that they'll have discussed the squad, right? I'd imagine they'd have said, look, you're going to be able to have these players. Who do you want to bring in to add to it, etc.? So we need to see movement and quick, don't we, man, for sure.
Yeah, I think that after we have set the first step, I think everything will come by, because there's a lot in the midst, the manager appointment. You remember what I said last week when you asked, I said end of the week. So I think it's getting done tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from the manager situation, we still have the official the officiality of the takeover, because if you look at the hierarchy, Rads is still legally right now the owner. The 49er's are still legally the minority owner. So I think that's slow the process too, because I think is though the process of the director of football, and they had to appoint the football advisor. I think is though the appointment of the manager, because of course, if you have to take the decisions legally until it's not done, you have to consult the majority owner. And right now, if you look at the company's house, if you look at the papers, it's still Rads until it gets the green light and it's done. So I think that things too is going down the process. But like I said, when we get the first step done, I think everything will come by. And if we get the manager tomorrow, we have a whole week to plan. Maybe some players, I guess, like you said, they've already planned something behind the scenes, because of course it's not prohibited, even if you're not officially yet the majority, the full owner of the club. You can still plan and have meetings with Angus Kinnear and the other people involved, of course. So I think if the manager comes, then all will come by very, very fast, because like you said, 3rd of July, 3rd of July, pre-season is starting. I think the next week, if we get the manager tomorrow, we'll have a lot of big news coming in.
I think so as well. Like, it's going to be a busy time, isn't it? Because we're going to see him. He's going to have to do a press conference, you'd imagine. New manager, this is my plan. We're then going to, because I genuinely felt like we would get so much news, and it's been so quiet. And I just hope that when the manager's in, that the transfers in and out aren't as quiet as this. Do you know what I mean? I hope they leave Hammond to get on with it, if you like, and make moves, because we can't afford to be as diligent. I don't know if that's the right word, but we can't afford to drag our heels like we have done. I tell you one that I want to just touch on, and you know, I took a bit of a battering for suggesting Tom Davies as a potential signing, because obviously he's available on a free for Everton, but one that does actually excite me, and one that we were linked with last season, is Emmanuel Dennis. Emmanuel Dennis apparently is going to leave Nottingham Forest this summer. And representatives of the 25-year-old have started the process of holding exploratory talks with potential interested parties. Is this something you would expect Leeds United to be entertaining? I would like them to, mate. I think Emmanuel Dennis is a good player and good definitely for that level.
Powerful too. Yeah. He has a lot of power, energy. He's fast. Yeah, I think it'd be a good shout, surely. Yeah. But it's the same thing that I said previously. You know, after a player has played in the Premier League, of course, he's. I think it's the same thing.
Sorry. Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, no, just like I was saying, you know, after you play in the Premier League, you know, with Watford and Forest this season, of course, he didn't have much opportunities to, and he was behind in the hierarchy, Avoni and
Chris Wood as well.
And then Chris Wood too. Yeah. You know, you have to approach the mindset of the player. If he wants to get back in the Championship, he will be on big money for sure, of course, because he'll be one of the top strikers in the league.
Yeah,
surely. Yeah. But of course, you know, we'll have to see, and it will be a statement, of course, if we had one like Emmanuel Dennis, because he's a player that has done well in the past in the Premier League, has done well with Watford, and but like I said, the mindset will surely play a part, and the interest from Europe, because I think he's a type of player, you know, just like two of the names that I've talked about recently in Europe, like Openda from Lens, and Kalimuendo, where we played against him. And we were linked actually with Leeds.
This is the thing, and it's so many good players. So many.
Yes, characteristics. Back in the day, you know, we were linked with them. Yes, characteristics that are similar actually to those players if you look at it. So if certain players are looking to that type of player, I think Dennis would surely be on their shortlist too in continental Europe, and he's an international too. So I don't know, but it would be a great move, a great statement.
Yeah, really great signing to bring him in and get us moving in the right direction, because it definitely has to. It definitely has to, you know, start moving and start moving quick. We will, I guess, tomorrow react to the news if Patrick Vieira is announced. I'm hoping he is, because, like I say, I'm sick of having to like be talking about potentially this guy, potentially that guy.
You know, we just where we just want we're just saying we just want a manager at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
and. Look, even if it isn't Patrick, we know that the interview's finished today. So therefore, the interested parties will have been told, do you want the job? Yes or no? If they've said no, because of X, Y, Z, they move on to second on the list. You know what I mean? It could be a bit of posturing as well. Like one of the managers might say, oh, I'm a bit unsure. Is that because they want more money, or do they want more assurances? These things happen, right? It's very unlikely that two parties go, yes, straight away. It doesn't really happen, because, you know, we've seen that with the Declan Rice to Arsenal stuff. Everyone kicks off sometimes and they go, just give him the money. But this is business, right? And it's the same when you're taking a job or you're a footballer, you know.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. But we'll hopefully see something tomorrow. Some white smoke, bro. Some white smoke. If you're a betting man, is it going to be Vieira, Farke, or someone totally unheard of or unexpected?
Well, thinking about it, I still hope it's Farke, honestly.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, I'm with you.
yeah,
I'm with you.
looking at the recent reports, it's probably gonna be Vieira, probably. But I have that little grim of
same.
hope
I'm
that
the
it's
same as you.
Farke.
Yeah.
Because I prefer
just
him.
maybe.
It's just tactically wise. And about what you said about Tom Davies, actually, because I didn't answer that.
Yeah.
I don't really like him as a player, honest, to be honest.
Yeah. No.
Tom Davies, because he's a different, he started well with when he broke into the Everton team, but really didn't progress from that point, I think. Yeah. So yeah. So honestly, if he has refused the contract offer from the renewal for Everton, I think he has another Premier League club probably.
Do you right? Okay, because the only reason I suggest Tom Davies, I think we could be very, very light in that area, and if you can pick up a player that can bolster out the squad, and yeah, I get people are saying he's not good enough for Leeds, etc. But we're a championship club.
No, it's good for the championship, of course.
Yeah. People kept telling me, "Oh, he's wank." Well, yeah, so we're rubbish as well. You can't tell me he's not an improvement on an Adam Forshaw. You can't tell me he's not an improvement.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. So if he's available on the 3, then go get him. Do you know what I mean? But it is what it is. Look, we'll move. There's going to be many moving parts, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, hopefully we'll get an announcement tomorrow. Matty Boy said he's hearing a lot of things. It could well be Daniel Farke. I hope you're right, mate. We'll have to wait and see. But thanks as always for tuning in, folks. It's not a long one tonight because there isn't much to discuss other than potentially Patrick Vieira coming in. Make sure you show some love to Andrea. Follow him on Twitter. And we'll probably see you tomorrow as well at some point.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm expecting some news. But get your heads down, folks, and hopefully it'll be a busy day tomorrow. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I'll see you on the other side.